I just finished reading over 500 of Tolkien's personal letters to fans, filmmakers, publishers, a lot of different people, and I was struck by a few things. One of them is how much he loved trees and hated technology. In The Lord of the Rings, the Ents attack and destroy Isengard, and it's a really dramatic scene, and it basically summarizes Tolkien's views of nature and technology. Tolkien loved nature, but he loved trees in particular. He had a weird love of trees. For Tolkien, cutting down a tree was like killing an animal. He hated it. In a letter to journalists, he wrote, "I am obviously much in love with plants, and above all trees, and always have been, and I find human maltreatment of them as hard to bear as some find ill treatment of animals." He referred to the cutting down of trees as destruction, torture, and murder of trees. In response, he said, "In all my works, I take the part of trees against all their enemies." There's one story he told of a neighbor that wanted to cut down a tree, and Tolkien really didn't want that. "There was a great tree, a huge poplar with vast limbs, visible through my window even as I lay in bed. I loved it and was anxious about it. It had been savagely mutilated some years before, but had gallantly grown new limbs, though of course not with the unblemished grace of its former natural self. And now a foolish neighbor was agitating to have it felled. Every tree has its enemy, few have an advocate." You could put that on a shirt. So this just shows his overall love and concern for trees. And as much as Tolkien loved trees, he hated technology. He wished the infernal combustion engine had never been invented. He referred to construction noise near his house as Mordor in our midst. He referred to the construction of parking lots in Oxford as the spirit of Isengard, and the people renovating and expanding Oxford, he called them machine worshippers. But he seemed to have a special hatred for airplanes in particular, for whatever reason. I don't know, he just hated airplanes. And so you can imagine when his son joined the Royal Air Force, he wasn't very happy. In a letter to his son, Tolkien wrote, "But I fear an air force is a fundamentally irrational thing per se. I could wish dearly that you had nothing to do with anything so monstrous. It is in fact a sore trial to me that any son of mine should serve this modern Moloch." Moloch, by the way, is the name of an ancient Canaanite god who demanded to be worshipped through child sacrifice. Yeah, okay. Moving on. A year later, Tolkien wrote to his son again saying, "It would be at least some comfort to me if you escaped the RAF. But it is the airplane of war that is the real villain, and nothing can really amend my grief that you, my best beloved, have any connection with it. My sentiments are more or less those that Frodo would have if he had discovered some hobbits learning to ride Nazgul birds for the liberation of the Shire." Again, you can see Tolkien's love of nature and hatred of technology in the Ents destroying Isengard and Sauron being the one who goes in for machinery and technology. In a letter to an editor, Tolkien provided a commentary on trees in The Lord of the Rings. "Lothlorien is beautiful because there the trees were loved. Elsewhere, forests are represented as awakening to consciousness of themselves. The old forest was hostile to two-legged creatures because of the memory of many injuries. Fangorn Forest was old and beautiful, but at the time of the story tense with hostility because it was threatened by a machine-loving enemy. Mirkwood had fallen under the domination of a power that hated all living things, but was restored to beauty and became Greenwood the Great before the end of the story." Well, that's all I have for you today. Hit the button, hit the bell. Catch you later.
I have always, for some reason, I don't know why, been enormously attracted by trees. All my works is full of trees. I suppose I have actually, in some simple-minded form of longing, actually I should have liked to be able to make contact with a tree and find out what it feels about things.